So yesterday, I got a few emails from a few students about how, like, they were asking me about the yellow dots or the yellow marks on your drawings. So let's start off by talking about those yellow marks because apparently um, they're not quite as apparent as I thought that they were for you guys. So let's take Well, this one doesn't even have any yellow marks, but this is a good example of, a well done drawing here. Okay, so again, this is 3.7. So a few things about this drawing that I like, and then we can talk about the yellow marks. A, scale is written just one box high. A lot of more than I care to. I don't know. There's a lot of people who are writing scale or like lettering two boxes high. Please do not do that. A quarter-inch lettering is already too big. Like it should be smaller than this. But we're going with this because that's the size of our graph paper box. But please, it should only be one graph box tall. So like this lettering is well done. When I look at the drawing, again, some things that are required from everybody for this drawing. A, center marks. This is a center line, but a center line is only a center line when you have a gap, a dash, and a gap. So a lot of people have turned in stuff with just a solid line running down through the middle here. That does not constitute a center line. It's just a line at that point. It's just wrong. Okay, so you need to make sure that you put your gaps in here. Also, again, when I look at the top here, although I do believe that the student did use like a compass or something, but things are lining up. Okay. The other thing too, like some people, let's see if I can find one. Yeah. So again, yellow boxes. So when you guys open up and you look at your stuff in Google Classroom, you might see yellow boxes, but they're just like seem somewhat like they're randomly placed and there's like nothing to go along with them. So again, I got a lot of emails yesterday saying like, what does this yellow box mean? From what I understand from students, because what you guys see and what I see are slightly different, but from what I understand from students is if you open this up in Google Classroom and then in the top you say open a new window, it's going to open this up, it's going to reposition the yellow boxes, and it's going to show you the notes that I've left. For every yellow box you see, there is a note associated with that yellow box. Okay, so in this case down here, when there's an issue with the whole thing here. So I basically highlighted the whole thing and I say wrong proportions. You have measured the diameter as the radius, so it's twice as big as it should be. Which again, this is something, the radius is 2 inches, or I'm sorry, the diameter of this object should be 2 inches, but this student measured 2 inches to the left, 2 inches to the right. Now their diameter is 4 inches, so that doesn't work. And then, when they go to the top one here, I mentioned the fact, see, they only have two circles here. It's like, that's why your circle doesn't fit here. They're also missing their hidden lines. They're missing a lot of stuff here, right? And sometimes, like, I cut my losses. Like, I'll leave you guys off with a few things. Like, I don't want to, like, overwhelm you. Um, but there are some other, like, concerns with that drawing there. That drawing's pretty well done, but kind of hard to see. Let's see here. Okay, so again, here's an example where scale is too big, right? So letter one box high. I left that student that note. This student, doesn't have a center line because they didn't like erase the top and the bottom. They also don't have a center mark because it's not erased around, right? Like we should see a plus sign in the middle of this drawing with gaps on each side. So again, they're missing their center mark in that drawing. Um, that one's pretty good. Let's see. Again, scale's too big down here. Lettering should only be one box high. Here, like the student did not extend, or they've extended their center line all the way to the bottom of the page. So I say erase beyond a quarter inch from the feature. This is the feature. The box should end right there. The line should end right there. I also mentioned the fact that they're missing the scale, you know? So like when I go through and I grade your work, ladies and gentlemen, like I put these comments in every single drawing. So if you're not looking at the comments, then it's really hard for you to realize like where you've lost your points from, and more importantly, how to improve your next drawing so you don't make the same mistake again. So what I want everyone to do right now, please, is open up your 3.7 and take a look at the notes that I've left you. If you see no notes, that means you did good. Okay, so 3.8. Once again, ladies and, oh, I already have this in here from my last class. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my center line in the middle here, I have those gaps. Make sure you have those gaps. My center line has extended 1/4 of an inch beyond. My center line, oh, thanks. Anyways, my center marks, right? I have gaps on the other side of my center marks. My center lines are going inch above and below my object. My center mark in the middle of this thing up here is a plus sign, right? And again, I have gaps on each side here, right? And then we need to talk more specific. Oh, also my center lines are extending 1/4 of an inch outside of my circle up here as well. Let's talk about the bolt circle and adding these 4 1/2 inch circles. This drawing says 0.05 inches. That's not correct. It's 1/2 of an inch, 0.5 inches. So notice that each of these circles are landing on the center line, the center mark. Okay, and this says front view, which means that the circle belongs here, 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 here someplace. Okay. It also tells us, and you can see this like center line circle that's being drawn around here, and it tells us that the diameter of that circle is 2 inches. So that means that the center mark from the center to the outside of here is 2 inches. Or I'm sorry, 1 inch, right? Because it's the radius, 1 inch from here to here. 1 inch from there to there, 1 inch from there to there, and 1 inch from there to there. So when we come through here, we're going to measure over 1 inch and we're going to make a mark. Okay, we're going to measure up 1 inch and we're going to make a mark. We're going to measure over 1 inch, make a mark. Down 1 inch, make a mark. Okay, and I've kind of like erased these lines already, but what we would do here, I'll just put these lines back real quick. Again, before I even really start to create and like draw my circle, I really just prefer to like get my center marks like erased and done because it's just so much easier to erase them now than later. So I clean up my marks. Oops, I just cleaned up too much. I also have to erase like a little section of this line here and here because the center line collides with the center mark. Okay, same thing over here and here. And like the same thing's going to happen on the top and the bottom, okay, which I'm just going to kind of rush through a tiny bit there. But okay, so each of these circles is 1/2 of an inch again. All right, so like if I work on this one on the left here, we only need to measure 1/4 of an inch out. So that's basically one box on the 4 points here, 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 and here. Then again, you need to measure another 4 points, which are going to be your diagonal points. Okay, then you can connect those points. Okay, so you have a circle there. I have the remains of my circle from my last period lesson there. And then like we would have circles here and here as well. Okay, but they're the same process. As far as these circles here and here, which again, that is not accurate enough, but that's just a quick little sketch. When you come down, the hidden line and the center line produced by these circles is already drawn here. The only thing that you need to do is put another center mark in the center of that circle down here. Okay, so instead of having just one center mark, now we have 2. This one represents this hole here, as well as the main hole. and this one represents the main hole going from the top to the bottom. As far as these other two circles are concerned, you can project your hidden lines down and also your center mark. Okay, which again, your center mark is going to begin an inch or a quarter inch above. It's going to end a quarter inch below. And we're going to have a dash in the middle. Okay, and then lastly on this thing here, we are going to letter, and again, one box high. One to one. Okay, and again here, my center marks are only extending a quarter of an inch beyond my object. Here I only have a ½ inch gap, so this quarter inch line runs directly into that quarter inch line, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Then we'd go through and lay out the rest of these things. Once again, you do need to please mark 8 points when you create your circles. Okay, I do expect that these circles, it seems to me that like a lot of people are doing really good with their circles, and then a lot of people are taking liberties and just like drawing circles. If your circles do not line up with what comes down below, right? Like if this circle doesn't line up with that, if this circle doesn't line up with that, if this circle doesn't line up with that, and that circle with that, that is a major error. Okay, it's an object line, major error. That's going to be 2 points off of this. Okay, so it's going to be a 3 instead of a 5. So please make sure that you are taking time to accurately size your circles on this activity. Are there any questions about this? Yes, Eddie. Sorry, it's pretty darn late. Okay, so we are going to continue with these today. They are going to be due at the end of the day. And again, you guys should have started this the other day here. So hopefully you just have like a little bit more work to do, and then you can turn it in tonight.